Imagine standing before a sunset, its hues spilling across the horizon, illuminating the sky in fleeting brilliance. For a moment, there's awe. You see the magnificence, feel its silent power. But what happens if you try to hold on to it? The sun dips lower, the colors fade, and the very attempt to capture that moment becomes the source of frustration. Yet the sunset doesn't need to last forever to be complete. Its beauty lies in its transience. Life, in its essence, is a flow, a constant unfolding of moments, each giving way to the next. It is not static, nor is it something that can be owned or frozen in time. The desire to hold on to life, to make it conform to our expectations, creates a tension that ultimately leads to suffering. When we shift our perspective and learn to appreciate life's impermanence, we begin to experience a freedom and peace that no amount of control or possession can provide. Impermanence is often misunderstood as a source of loss or sorrow. When something beautiful or meaningful appears in our lives, we instinctively want to hold on to it, whether it's a moment, a relationship, or an achievement. But consider the nature of life itself. Its beauty lies in its fleeting nature. The petals of a flower, the ripple of a stream, the colors of a sunset, they are all exquisite precisely because they are temporary. Their impermanence gives them depth and significance. When we try to grasp at these experiences, we distort their essence. The flower wilts, the stream flows on, the sunset fades into night. Our efforts to possess them by capturing a photograph, clinging to a memory, or demanding that they last forever often leave us feeling empty. The more we resist the natural flow of change, the more disconnected we feel from the vitality of life itself. To appreciate life in its impermanence is to approach it with openness and presence. It is to see each moment as it is, without the need to alter it or make it conform to our desires. This perspective allows us to engage fully with life, savoring its richness without becoming ensnared by it. It invites us to live with a lightness of being, where we are free to experience joy without the fear of its loss. Impermanence is not a threat, it is a teacher. It reminds us to treasure what we have while it is here, and to let it go when the time comes. This does not mean we should be indifferent or detached in a cold or unfeeling way. On the contrary, it allows us to love more deeply and to live more fully because we are no longer constrained by the illusion of permanence. Consider this: if life were unchanging, it would lose its vitality. Growth, transformation, and renewal are only possible because things do not stay the same. The impermanence of life is what allows for its constant unfolding. It is what gives us the opportunity to learn, to evolve, and to discover new facets of existence. When you stop grasping at life, you begin to truly appreciate it. Each moment becomes a gift, not because it will last forever, but because it is here now. You find joy not in clinging, but in witnessing the beauty of life as it dances moment by moment, in its endless and perfect impermanence. Attachment arises when we cling to the things we love, believing they hold the key to our happiness and security. We invest in the idea that what brings us joy today must remain unchanged to sustain our peace. But the truth is, everything in life is transient: people, experiences, emotions, even our own identities. By mistaking this ever-changing reality for something fixed and eternal, we create suffering for ourselves. The nature of attachment is rooted in fear. At its core is the belief that without this person, possession, or circumstance, we will be incomplete. We tie our sense of self to the external world, forgetting that the external is in constant flux. People move on, possessions wear out, and circumstances evolve. When the inevitable change occurs, the mind rebels. It tries to hold on, to freeze time, to resist the natural flow of life. This resistance is where suffering begins. For example, think of a relationship that brought you great happiness. In the beginning, there was no attachment, only joy in the connection. But over time, the mind begins to label the relationship as mind creating expectations and dependencies. Now, the thought of losing this relationship becomes a source of anxiety. You may attempt to control the other person or the circumstances to maintain what you perceive as stability. Yet life cannot be controlled, and as the dynamics of the relationship shift, as they inevitably will, the attachment turns what was once a source of joy into a cause of pain. But this dynamic extends beyond relationships. We attach to ideas of success, to possessions, and even to our own identities. We define ourselves by our roles, achievements, or how others perceive us. When these things change, as they always do, we feel threatened, as though a piece of us is being taken away. But the reality is that these attachments were never truly us to begin with. They were fleeting expressions of life, not eternal truths. To free ourselves from suffering, we must shift our perspective. The problem is not in loving or valuing what life offers, it is in clinging to it. Love, joy, and appreciation are natural states, but attachment distorts them by adding fear and need. True love, for instance, does not seek to possess or control, it allows. True joy arises not from holding on to an experience, but from being fully present in it. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means recognizing the transient nature of all things and embracing life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. It is the freedom to love without fear of loss, to experience without the need for permanence. When you release attachment, you begin to see the world more clearly. You understand that nothing external can ever complete you, because you are never incomplete to begin with. Suffering diminishes as you let go of the need to grasp at what is transient, allowing the eternal truth of your being one of peace and wholeness to emerge. In this realization, life becomes not something to hold on to, but a gift to be cherished moment by moment. The mind is a storyteller, weaving narratives about who we are, what we need, and how life should be. It constantly pulls us into the past, replaying memories, or into the future, constructing hopes and fears. While the stories of the mind can be compelling, they often obscure the richness of life as it unfolds in the present. True appreciation of life in its fullness is revealed not in thought but in presence, the simple act of being fully here and now. Presence is not something to achieve, it is our natural state. Beneath the noise of the mind, there is always a still, silent awareness. This awareness does not judge or compare, it simply observes. When you reside in this awareness, you see life with clarity and depth. Colors appear more vibrant, sounds more distinct, and even the mundane takes on a quality of aliveness. The fullness of life reveals itself because you are no longer lost in the mental stories that distract from what is real. The mind stories, however, can feel inescapable. It tells us that we must fix the past or secure the future to find peace. It labels experiences as good or bad, desirable or undesirable, and then reacts with craving or resistance. These judgments create a sense of separation from life, from others, and even from ourselves. The more we identify with the mind stories, the more we lose touch with the present moment, where life is actually happening. Consider how often the mind creates dissatisfaction. You might be sitting in a beautiful park, surrounded by nature's wonders, but instead of appreciating the moment, your mind replays an argument or worries about an upcoming deadline. The park, in its stillness and beauty, remains unchanged, but your experience of it is clouded by the mind's distractions. Presence, on the other hand, dissolves these distractions. It anchors you in the reality of the moment, allowing you to fully feel the breeze, hear the rustling leaves, and see the play of light and shadow. Presence also reveals that life is not a series of separate events, but a continuous unfolding. The mind divides life into fragments, success and failure, joy and sorrow, but when you are present, these divisions fade. You see that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Each moment becomes an expression of the whole, complete and perfect as it is. Paradoxically, the stories of the mind lose their grip when you stop fighting them. Presence does not require silencing the mind, but simply observing it. When you notice a thought or emotion without attaching to it, you create space. In that space, the thought loses its power, and you return to the present. Living in presence does not mean ignoring the practicalities of life or avoiding plans and responsibilities. It means approaching them from a place of awareness rather than reactivity. When you are present, you bring a sense of calm and clarity to everything you do. Life is no longer a problem to solve or a story to fix, it is a mystery to be lived. The fullness of life is always here, waiting to be seen. It does not require more effort, more possessions, or more achievements. It only asks for your presence. When you drop the stories of the mind and simply be, you discover that life itself is enough and always has been. The human tendency to control stems from a deep-seated desire for security and certainty. We want life to align with our expectations, people to act in ways that meet our desires, and events to unfold according to our plans. Yet, life's essence is inherently unpredictable and ever-changing. This need for control, while seemingly logical, often leads to tension and discontent. True appreciation, on the other hand, emerges when we release this compulsion to control and embrace life as it is. The illusion of control creates a false sense of stability. We believe that if we plan enough, prepare enough, or work hard enough, we can make life conform to our will. But even the most carefully constructed plans are subject to the unexpected. Relationships change, circumstances shift, and outcomes unfold in ways we cannot predict. Each attempt to micromanage life often results in frustration, because we are trying to impose permanence on what is inherently fluid. Releasing control does not mean resigning to passivity or indifference. It is not about giving up responsibility or effort. Instead, it is about recognizing the limits of our influence and learning to flow with life rather than against it. When you stop resisting what is, you begin to see life more clearly. Instead of reacting with fear or frustration to what you cannot change, you meet it with curiosity and openness. This surrender is not weakness, it is wisdom. It acknowledges that life's unfolding is far more intricate and profound than the mind's attempts to orchestrate it. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you hold it gently, it stays. Life is much the same. Control suffocates, while surrender allows it to breathe. Appreciation blooms in this space of surrender. When you release the need for control, you stop measuring life against your expectations and start experiencing it as it is. You begin to notice the small miracles you once overlooked: a smile, a kind word, the way sunlight filters through the leaves. These moments, while simple, are profound when seen without the filters of judgment or expectation. Letting go of control also transforms relationships. Often we attempt to mold others to fit our needs, expecting them to behave in ways that align with our vision of how things should be. This creates tension and resentment, both for ourselves and for those we seek to control. When you release this need, you allow others the freedom to be themselves. In doing so, you create space for genuine connection, untainted by demands or conditions. Life, in its natural flow, has a wisdom that transcends the mind's limited understanding. When you trust in this flow, you discover a deeper harmony. Challenges become opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to overcome. Disappointments reveal hidden blessings. And even in uncertainty, there is a sense of peace, because you are no longer trying to force life into a rigid mold. True appreciation arises from this trust. It is the ability to see beauty not in spite of life's unpredictability, but because of it. Each moment, no matter how ordinary or unexpected, becomes a gift, a piece of a larger tapestry that you don't have to control to appreciate. When you release the need for control, you find that life doesn't need to be perfect to be wonderful, it simply needs to be seen. In the end, life is not something to conquer, master, or control. It is a gift to be experienced moment by moment with openness and presence. Appreciation does not come from holding on, clinging, or dictating how life should unfold. Instead, it arises when we align ourselves with the natural rhythm of existence, when we let go of our need to possess, our attachment to permanence, and our relentless drive to control. Releasing these tendencies is not a loss but a profound gain. It allows us to see life as it truly is, a beautiful, fleeting dance of impermanence. In that surrender we find peace, not because life is free of challenges, but because we are free from resisting them. True appreciation emerges when we embrace life's unpredictability, trust its flow, and find joy in simply being present. This is the essence of living fully, not chasing or grasping, but witnessing and welcoming each moment as it comes. In this state, life is no longer a struggle, it becomes a profound and continuous unfolding of beauty and grace.